gotta be an idiot to bet on that parlay.
It's DTF or bust.
Put it on my mama's porch tomorrow. Welcome back to Hold My Bev podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Park. Here with me, as always, the one and the only DTF Clee. You thought I was gonna say DTF Nation? Wrong.
Gotta hang it up. I have a graphic that I'm developing right now. It's a banner of the DTF Nation username from 2012 to 2024. When I made it the first time, it looked like that it was me dying or me signing off from podcasting. So I have to figure out how I want to label this banner, but it's the Hold My Bev official banner for the username DTF Nation. It has retired 12 years later. I can't get the name DTF. It's been taken for many years. It's just, I'm never going to get it. So I've decided on DTF Clee, DTF CLE for Cleveland. This podcast wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for us being Cleveland fans through and through, Guards, Cavs, Browns. So DTF Clee moving forward, both Twitter and Instagram. It's a new regime, end of an era, start of the new beginnings. And what a beginning to the NFL season we had.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just real quick before we get into that, I'm gonna need a picture of that banner that you make, and I'm going to put it right there.
Please hang it up.
I will. I'll hang it up. But yeah, crazy start to the week. For week one of the NFL season. I watched the first game in Vegas. I was still in Las Vegas for a work trip. So I got to watch the game at Top Golf. Honestly, ended up spending more time watching the game than actually playing Top Golf. But great game. Was glad to see the Ravens lose, of course, as Browns fans, especially by a toe.
Oh, yeah. Literal toe.
Yeah. Pacheco looked great. He kind of folded on my parlay a little bit, but it was a great game to watch, so I can't be too mad about it. Xavier Worthy looked amazing. I wish they would have played him a little bit more, but I mean, he showed that he's gonna fit in right just fine.
Between him and the new slant god, Rashee Rice, they have some promising talent on the Chiefs, unlike Travis Kelce, who showed up looking as white as ever with his new look. And unfortunately, I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and he underperformed, just stagnant the whole game. And anybody who drafted Mark Andrews, I feel for them too, as Isaiah Likely put up record numbers. I think it was like 28 points for him. He was tight end 1 this weekend. Good for him as the backup tight end. A lot of people are going to rush to go get him, and I feel like that was going to be the one of maybe 2 or 3 games that he'll have like that this season.
I don't know, man. I mean, Mark Andrews coming off a season-ending injury for it feels like the third year in a row. I mean,
Yeah, I
who
mean,
knows? They might look to move off of him.
The future is likely, but ultimately, you still think, Andrews is the guy. Maybe the Browns should be going after one of them with Njoku going down. You look at our situation with him being week to week right now. We have what, Akins, and that's it at tight end.
Akins and everyone else is on practice squad.
We're falling apart, and it's only week 1.
Yeah, both tackles hurt. Dawad Jones he played great last year, but he did not show up yesterday at all.
Yeah, I know we'll get into that game shortly, but I still can't get over it. Like, I just had such high expectations going into the season. I felt really eerie going into the game yesterday. And anybody who asked me how I felt about the game, I just kept saying Cowboys money line, because I don't trust us and I don't trust Deshaun after not playing a single snap in the preseason. Well, not playing at all, if not, he didn't play at all, right?
No.
Yeah.
He was
So,
supposed to play in Seattle and
yep.
never played.
To not play a single snap in the preseason after being out with an injury for the last how many games? 8 games or more?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers even played a snap.
Yeah. Yep. And Aaron Rodgers made it through the whole first half with no issues today,
Yeah. Yeah,
as we're recording.
congratulations, Jets fans.
Yep.
Congratulations. You made it through the first half.
As we're recording, Monday Night Football is going on right now. It is halftime. The 49ers are up 16-7. Kind of a slow first half. But what do you expect when CMC is not playing? Last minute, no
No,
show.
I, I was gonna say, don't even get me started on that one. I lost in fantasy this week because of it.
Same.
I had no other players. I couldn't drop anyone because I had a chance to go get Mason, but I couldn't drop anyone. All my
Yeah,
players had already played.
yeah. I had an unlikely situation happen yesterday. I got out of church pretty early and I looked at my phone and all I saw was Tyreek Hill arrested, Tyreek Hill going to jail, Tyreek Hill this, Tyreek Hill that. And in my gray bar league, I drafted Tyreek Hill second overall. So naturally, that's what my season's riding on. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. What did he do? But then I saw quickly that he was going to play yesterday, and I didn't panic. But Brandon Beats and I were texting, and he said, I know Tyreek Hill. He's my best friend. He's gonna do a handcuff celebration, and sure enough, he did. I told the lad, and the lad said he's gonna pull out his 401k to bet that he does the touchdown celebration. I wish he did.
Damn, he'd be a rich man.
Oh yeah.
He'd be a very rich man. Um, but yeah, no, that. Did you watch the video at all
Yeah, I watched
of
the
him
whole
getting
body cam.
arrested?
Yeah, I watched the body cam footage today. I mean, yes, he was being a little disrespectful when it came to the cop asking him to roll his window down, which, in my opinion, I think that was Tyreek, because he has very tinted windows you can't see in. I think he was trying to call his agent real quick while he still had a chance, because then he had his phone in his hand and he kept telling everybody, call Drew, call Drew. Um, but it seemed like the cops were being very aggressive, despite whatever Tyreek said to them. How much he mouthed off to them. Obviously, you don't want to mouth off against a police officer. You want to abide by the rules. Abide by the law. But it seemed to go a little too far, and I don't know. I mean, let's just not speed in the first place, Tyreek.
Yeah, yeah, no, can't happen.
Set an example, and I unfortunately, as much as I joke about the handcuff celebration, it's still not setting a good example to your fans to be mocking the fact that you got to, detain this or handcuff this morning. I don't know. It's like you don't. It's like you're not taking it serious.
Right. Oh, Brees Hall fumble. 23-7 49ers now. Ooh. Shout out if you bet Jordan Mason to get a touchdown, he got a rushing touchdown. Um, but let's go ahead and get more into these games. Chiefs won 27-20. Did you have any other takes from that game?
Just that the Chiefs are Chiefs, man. They're ready to go. They're obviously the team to beat. They're going for the three-peat, first time in NFL history this year. And as of right now, the line was still at 50-1. You're still walking away with a bunch of cash if you bet them to win a Super Bowl again. I mean, there's about 3 to 4 teams that I could bet right now today that I feel confident winning the Super Bowl. But if I'm going to put more money on one team than the other, it's going to be the Chiefs because I think they're going to run it back for a third time. This is the Warriors here,
Yeah, it's gonna be, I believe, the first team ever to do a three-peat in
ever.
the NFL. Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. Um, but let's go ahead and get into this next game. I thought this next game was very interesting. Um, I saw like bits and pieces of it. I was keeping in touch with it. The Eagles playing the Green Bay Packers in Brazil. First of
Nobody wanted to
all,
be there.
yeah, I was gonna say, let's talk about this first, that no one wanted to be there. I pray they never go back there again. I had people on Twitter saying that the homicide rating is higher in Philadelphia than it is in Sao Paulo or Paulo. I think that's how you say it. Um, but at the same time, because I ended up looking it up. I'm like, I feel like that city's way bigger than Philadelphia. Lo and behold, that city has about 12 million people compared to Philadelphia's just barely over a million people.
Hmm.
So, percentages are going to be a little skewed.
Yeah, it's per capita.
Yeah. But anyways, the game, I actually thought it was a fairly good game. It sucked to see Jordan Love go down at the very end. Um, but Saquon Barkley with 3 touchdowns, in his Eagles debut was awesome. Jalen Hurts, not not too big on him.
Yeah.
But he ended up turning around just a little bit, but and actually almost got 300 passing yards. I didn't even realize he almost got 300 yards. A lot of
Yeah,
that was carried by Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, but
yeah. I mean, you can make the argument that Jason Kelsey was a big factor in Jalen Hurts' success all around, from reading the defense to the now what they're calling the Brazilian butt lift or the tush push. Tush push did not look the same. There was you know, some words to be said between Jalen Hurts and his new center after a fumbled snap. So they're just gonna have to get in rhythm. A lot of people think that the Eagles are another team that could be very scary this year. They've got all the talent. I mean, they could get back to the Super Bowl just no problem. Um, to be honest, though, they're not my Super Bowl NFC team. Um, I mean, certainly they can do it, but I don't trust Jalen Hurts just as much as I don't trust Deshaun Watson, and that's saying a lot because Hurts is significantly better at this moment than Deshaun, but I just don't trust him on the same level.
yeah, I definitely trust him way more than Deshaun. Like not even close. I would take Jalen Hurts in a heartbeat. Um, but yeah, no, like you said, you can't really trust him. You don't know when he's gonna show up and when he isn't. Um, and not that he's not talented, but he's not a Patrick Mahomes. He's not a Josh Allen, not even a Joe Burrow. Uh, he's I would honestly argue that he's maybe on the outside of the top 10, just barely. But I think if he's in the top 10 or in your top 10, he needs to be like 9 or 10. I put him on the same level as a Dak Prescott, but I honestly am at a point right now where I don't even know who I would choose out of those two.
Hmm.
Especially now that Dak got his big contract. But we'll get into that a little bit later into the show when we go on our huge rant about our Browns. Um, but Jordan Love um, had some not so great moments in this game. But overall, I mean, I thought he played pretty solid. Not the MVP year that everyone was saying on social media and on the media and just general. Um, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, interception. Did get hurt at the end of the game with, I think, third to last play, and Malik Willis came in to try to win the game. And
Forgot
yeah,
about football.
I forgot how to throw a football. Um, Josh Jacobs played pretty good, and Jaden Reed, man, I'm salty that I did not go after him again this year.
Hmm.
I wish I would have attacked his draft stock a little bit more or harder than I did. But with Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, they said he's what, 4 weeks minimum?
At the moment, they did not put him on the IR. What they're going to do is they're going to proceed to believe that he is week to week and can miss less than 4 weeks. I think they're trying to avoid putting him on the IR. I think that the Packers, you know, they think they have a chance to do something this year, and I don't think they want to risk it by forcing Malik Willis or, somebody else to come in. Like I think they have Clifford, that former Penn State quarterback.
Yeah, they have Sean Clifford, Malik Willis, and they've been in contact with Ryan Tannehill
Yeah.
as well. So I think that's an option. But Malik Willis, I'm sorry if I'm a Packers fan right now, and I know that Malik Willis is more than likely going to be starting week 2 for the Green Bay Packers.
He is
I'm not
starting
going to be feeling good. I'm not going to be feeling good about that.
he is starting at the moment.
Yeah. Especially, granted, he just got traded to the team a week before the season started, but
Yeah, that was
I mean,
a crazy trade right before the season starts for them to pan out that they needed him. I mean,
yeah,
that would have been like if we traded for Jameis last week, and then all of a sudden Deshaun's got this fucking potential suspension or voided contract, and now we need Jameis to be our quarterback for the next however many weeks. I mean, we've been playing the quarterback roulette the last couple of years without Deshaun. I mean, it's been a big fucking circus, but
yeah. Welcome to Cleveland. Um, but I'm looking, man, I just wish we had Joe Flacco back.
yep.
I'm curious to see what Jameis would do, though. I think that we could actually run our offense with Jameis. I think
Yeah,
he could actually
I
do the
think
play action.
I think Jameis would be a lot better when Nick Chubb comes back. I think if you can establish the run with Nick Chubb and have Jerome Ford on a third down back set, let Jameis come in and play action, open up the field, and let dogs be dogs. He's got the swag to get people hyped, and he's a locker room guy. I think he's got the team more than um, um, fucking Watson has right now. I mean, it's the same thing as last year with Joe Flacco. I think Flacco had the locker room more than Watson did. People will sit there and argue that no, Watson's got the guys behind him, but why wouldn't Batonio let Watson help him up after he went down this weekend? Like things like that, just people see it, people are watching. Character stands strong, and I don't think Deshaun's character is very strong right now. It never was. That's why I got rid of my season tickets. I wasn't gonna back it. I couldn't, pay money to a team that believed in him, but I know since we're not ranting yet, this is just a little intro. I'm still fired up.
Oh, I am too. That's why it's hard to avoid it because somehow, some way, every conversation I've had today has somehow led into me going on a rant about Deshaun Watson and how just the Browns played.
Well, I tried defending my takes today at work. People were talking about, oh, it's just 1 week. Let the season pan out. Let Deshaun, get over his father dying and his friend dying, and like, at what point are we going to stop giving him these excuses? Play the fucking game. He was just horrible yesterday. Many times he was just dancing in the pocket with 5 seconds to throw the ball, and then he panics. And there's some highlights of him in Houston where, he danced around the pocket looking like a deer in headlights, but like he finds the open receiver. Yesterday, and much like a lot last season, he's not finding these open guys, and he's making horrible decisions and getting sacked 5 yards behind the line or throwing interceptions like in the Indianapolis game last year. Threw what, two interceptions before getting injured and sidelined? I mean, at some point, it's not that he is rusty or, going through something. He sucks. Like he is not the same quarterback. And then, people argue, oh, well, he's not washed up. You can't call him washed up. He's not old enough to be washed up. It doesn't matter how old
I
you
was
are.
gonna say that doesn't matter at all how old you
It
are.
does not matter how old you are. You know, you're washed up. But the point I'm trying to make before we move on is just I tried defending my take that, he's not the guy for us. We need to get rid of him. Anything to get rid of him. I don't believe in him. He's shady. And then I go home and I see the report that he was sued again for another sexual misconduct, another, possible rape charge. It's just like it just keeps getting thrown back in my face.
Yeah,
And it's like I knew I was right, but yeah.
yeah. What an absolute disaster.
Yeah, it's a tough time to be a Browns fan right now. But I mean, at least we're not the Michigan Wolverine fans.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and keep going on with these 1 o'clock games. We're now on Sunday. We're gonna start off with this first game. We had the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Buffalo Bills. Honestly, wasn't expecting it to be as close of a game as it was. Um, you know, I didn't think the Cardinals looked too bad. I overall thought Kyler Murray looked pretty good. I watched a decent amount of this game. Um, I thought Kyler Murray did look good. I know a lot of people were complaining about at the end of the game, Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open, who was also held to one reception and 4 yards, which really sucked for fantasy. But
I
you
had him.
know,
Yeah.
yep, I had him in 2 leagues.
Yep.
Um,
Three targets, one reception, 4 yards. Um, I don't want to believe this, but it makes you wonder if something's going on internally. He still has that lawsuit going on with Fanatics about his jersey sales. I just wonder if there's like a not a hit on him, but like don't throw to him or don't get him involved. And I don't know. I'm completely overthinking it, but part of me just wonders if there's something going on there.
yeah, he was targeted 3 times. Um, I don't necessarily think that it's anything on him, maybe. Um, I know coming out of college, he was never known as like, this speedster or anything like that. Um, but I think he's gonna be one of those guys that's gonna take him, a week or two to, get going. Because I do think that he is an amazing talent and he's gonna show that this season. Um,
I fully expect him to go off and get like 180 reception yards and touchdown or two, in a game that's going to be against like the Seahawks, like a divisional matchup this year, or against the Rams. I could see him locking up at least 150 reception yards one of these games coming up, um, to get him, a little welcome to the NFL moment. But yesterday was definitely a humbling experience for him. I would assume. Um, James Conner looked really good, balling out. Josh Allen seemed rusty at first, but then they got into the rhythm of things and
yeah, and
oh
then Josh Allen actually arrived.
yeah. When it was 17-3, I couldn't believe, but I looked at the halftime money line and it still showed the Bills in, they weren't an underdog at halftime despite being down. So I had a feeling that they were going to come back and just pull it off. Um, Unlike looking at the one of the next games we're going to be coming up about the Cincinnati Bengals, that halftime money line was very misleading.
Yeah, well, there were two passes by Kyler Murray, especially towards the end of the game, that definitely should have been caught. And if they were caught, I mean, the Cardinals might be 1-0 right now.
Hmm.
Obviously, we'll never know, but Josh Allen, out of all the QBs, I think he probably, in my opinion, played the best. Um,
I could
and
argue Baker Mayfield.
yeah, Baker Mayfield's right up there too. But I mean, 232 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, and then 2 touchdowns rushing. I mean, he's just one of those players that, you know, he's proving that he is the team. Like
Yeah.
he's, I don't want to call him Mahomes because he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, so I don't want to go there yet. But he's Mahomes-esque.
But
Like,
he's his own player. We always
yeah,
put people in this category of Mahomes, Mahomes, Mahomes. But like back in the day, you had Tom Brady, you had Drew Brees, you had Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers, and everybody was their own caliber quarterback. And now it is the big four of Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, and
bro.
yeah, you could argue Burrow, but again, yesterday, don't know where he was. He looked like he was seeing
Yeah.
ghosts.
Yeah, he's always played bad. I think they only won since he's been in the league, they've only won one week one game. And that was against the Steelers in overtime.
Yeah. Yep, 2 years ago, and that was not last year because the Browns beat them in a
Oh, absolutely pummeled them last year.
slaughter.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, that was the Bills and Cardinals game. James Cook looked solid. Keon Coleman had a really slow start, but started to, pick it up towards the second half. I think he's going to be great in this league. Um, And I think really the only reason he didn't get drafted higher up in that first round because he fell to if I'm not mistaken, the first pick in the second round. Um, I think the only reason that even happened is because he's just not fast because he has all the tools other than the speed. I
And
know
because
Randy Moss is huge on him.
the Bills traded their pick to get Isaiah Worthy for the Chiefs.
Yeah, Xavier Worthy. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I was a little disappointed that Dalton Kincaid didn't get involved in the offense more. I really thought, especially towards the end of the year, it seemed like Josh Allen was targeting his tight ends more, but his leading target receiver was Keon Coleman,
Hmm.
as it should be. So if you have Keon Coleman stock in fantasy, like keep it. Keep it. It's gonna just keep going up and up from here. But overall, I really enjoyed watching that game. Especially a lot better than these next two games that we're going to talk about, which will move over to the New England Patriots taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. I know we talked about Joe Burrow really looking like a shell of himself. Actually scored a lower efficiency score than Deshaun yesterday, which is hard to believe anyone did.
Yeah, I look at Jacoby Brissett, and when we had him, he was a reliable guy to come in and, do the job, manage the game. So I had a feeling that the Patriots were going to win yesterday. Um, the whole drama with Jamar Chase, kept me from drafting him in any league this year. I didn't trust what was going on down there with him and T. Higgins. T. Higgins did not play yesterday, and you know they lost Joe Mixon, which they have Zach Moss and they've got Chase Brown, but they really couldn't do much on offense yesterday. And for some reason, they couldn't stop Ramondre Stevenson and Jacoby Brissett going down the field. First game for Mayo as head coach after Bill Belichick leaves in the books.
Yeah, Stevenson, especially just getting a payday this offseason, he had 120 yards and a touchdown. Um, but Brissett, he did Brissett things. He didn't put up like crazy numbers or anything like that. Um, he just was solid, solid really. 15 for 24, 121 yards. Didn't throw for any touchdowns, but this was just a really low scoring game in general. Um, actually did not know that Austin Hooper is on the New England Patriots.
Yeah,
Um, that's interesting. Um, But yeah, great first win for Gerard Mayo as head coach of the New England Patriots. Um, Jamar Chase, though, I was not sure that he was going to play yesterday. Um, I really thought he was going to sit out, especially, and I get, entering the NFL draft's completely different than, sitting out on a contract.
yeah,
But I mean, I didn't put it past him. That's why I just completely avoided him this year. I'm like, this guy has proven that he will sit out to keep his price at what he wants. Like, so I was actually shocked to see that he ended up playing yesterday.
yeah.
Um,
So was I.
yeah, so that one really shocked me. Um, but yeah, that's all I really have to say for that game. Um, moving on to the next game. An absolute just this game would have been absolutely painful to attend. And I feel bad for Giants fans everywhere. But we had the Minnesota Vikings taking on the New York Giants. The Vikings obviously winning 28-6. Sam Darnold's return to MetLife Stadium. He did throw a pick, but overall looks like he played pretty good. 19 for 24, 208 passing yards and two touchdowns. Um, Aaron Jones had a great game with 94 yards and a touchdown. Um, Justin Jefferson got involved. I know Jordan Addison did get hurt partway through this game, and basically my whole fantasy team was just collapsing at this point. So
Yeah.
yeah, not looking too promising for me on that. But the Giants, man, I don't. I think Hard Knocks must have been the biggest mistake, even though I loved watching it personally as just a football fan and, really enjoying that business side of sports. The Hard Knocks is not helping their GM right now or Daniel Jones because he looked horrible. Looking at these stats right now, I'm surprised he even had 186 yards passing.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
and
there's
he
that
already,
statistic. There's that statistic out there that since he signed his big contract, he's thrown more touchdown passes to the other team than his own team. So he's thrown more pick sixes than he's thrown passing touchdowns for his own team.
see, that's literally insane. Like
Hmm.
if I'm a Giants fan, I don't know how I'm not looking at a quarterback next year. Like, eat the contract. That's probably what we're gonna do as Browns fans.
Yep.
I'm not gonna go on that rant right now. Um, and they were so sold on Devin Singletary, who did play pretty good last year, but looks like they hardly got him involved. Um, Malik Neighbors looked good. Um, 5 catches for 66 yards. But I mean, you even have a rookie wide receiver who I believe is stud, and as long as he has a competent quarterback in the under center throwing him the ball, he'll be phenomenal. But when you have a rookie wide receiver making comments on your quarterback before week one even starts,
Oh yeah.
what like what the hell is going on?
Yeah, because we're talking about Malik Neighbors, right?
Yes.
Because I saw the quote that was like, I don't know what's going on back there when he was talking about the quarterback room or talking about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, like at what point, like, granted, I know they've paid Daniel Jones, but I feel like sooner rather than later, you're gonna see Drew Lock coming in. You're gonna see Tommy DeVito coming in if Drew Lock sucks. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's bad. It's bad in New York. If you're a Giants fan.
Yeah, right now I have Daniel Jones in the same class as Deshaun Watson with they both have the yips. They have no confidence. They are shaken up. Um, they are seeing ghosts out there.
Now, see, I've never been a Daniel Jones guy from day one. I just
No, I thought it was a strange pick. I think they're trying to go for that Eli Manning-esque pick, and I don't think this was the right move.
well, this was like I guess in more recent terms, like, and granted, Bo Nix only has one start, and we'll get into that game later on in the show too, but it's like a Bo Nix pick. I mean, the guy, you could have gotten him with your second round pick more than likely. And, they fell for the bait on, someone taking him higher and drafting him way higher than he should have been. Um, Daniel Jones, in all reality, was never viewed as a day one pick.
Yeah.
Um, and that class overall for quarterbacks is just awful. Um, but yeah, I feel bad for Giants fans. I don't know if I feel worse for Giants fans or Panthers fans at the moment. Um, I know us Cleveland fans deserve better, and I'm praying that next week against Jacksonville will show up. But I don't know what the hell to make of this team, man.
I I'm just taking it week by week at this point.
Yeah, like the Giants roster, literally like burn. It sounds terrible, but like burn it to the ground. Like you're giving the wrong people the wrong contracts. Like tank for Archie, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
At this point, tank for Arch. Um, but that's all I have to say for that game. Uh, this next game is very, very interesting to say the least. We had the Tennessee Titans taking on the Chicago Bears, where the Chicago Bears ended up making a unbelievable comeback that I personally have never seen a comeback happen this way before. Um, Bears win 24-17.
Without scoring a single offensive touchdown.
Yeah, not a single offensive touchdown. Caleb Williams looked, not the best. 14 for 29 for 93 yards. No interceptions, so, that's a positive at least. But the offense was just non-existent. Absolutely non-existent. Um, Especially after getting an amazing Hard Knocks, which there were some episodes towards the end that I could have done without. I thought they started off great in the beginning, and then it just kind of was like, damn, they're all
Yeah.
sick of this already.
What did you think of Pardon My Take being a part of it?
I thought it was cool. I thought it was
Hmm.
cool. Um, Speaking of pardon my take, I actually just I think I fell asleep halfway through the Connor Stallions Netflix
Oh, really?
documentary. Yeah, so I thought it was cool to see Dave Portnoy on there.
Hmm.
Like I don't know. I like Dave Portnoy, but he's too Michigan, which I mean, granted, if I was like that, I'd be super Ohio State. So,
Yeah, sure.
but I feel like they have a good mix, with EV or Big Ev and Ohio State.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have a good mix there. And I think Mark Titus is Ohio State fan too.
Yes, he played Ohio State.
Did he play basketball?
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, okay. I knew he was familiar, but um yeah, so all of the Bears' points were from defense or special teams. Because I remember at one point I saw the game, if I'm not mistaken, at one point it was 17-0. Either there
Hmm.
or 17-3. Um And I'm like, why? What's going on with the Bears right now? And I just saw that they weren't doing anything on offense. It was just, you know, three and out every drive. Um, and it looks like they fumbled the ball a decent amount as well. Um, Velvis Jones, who was huge on Hard Knocks, lost a fumble, it looks like. Romo Dunze, who I know now is hurt, another person I was keeping on my bench in fantasy. Um, Also fumbled. But the Bears defense is legit, man. Granted, they were going against Tennessee and Will Levis, who looked absolutely horrendous. But one thing I will say is I was impressed with Tony Pollard.
Yeah, Pollard looked great. I had him on my bench, missed out on some more points as I started Singletary over him. Would have much rather have had the Pollard touchdown than the Singletary goose egg. But you live and you learn from week to week on different matchups in fantasy. Pollard looked great though.
Well, in all fairness, I don't blame you for that because I thought Tajay Spears was going to get a lot more touches than he did. He
Yeah.
only had 4 carries. And granted, he had 4 receptions as well. But I just thought he was going to be more involved than he was, really.
Hmm.
I thought it was going to be more even split backfield, but Pollard Pollard was the workhorse, and
Yeah.
he actually played pretty decent.
Yeah.
Try to get an update on the game. We got 26-13 San Francisco. Aaron Rodgers, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Who got the touchdown? Damn it, Lazard. Damn it. They need Garrett Wilson to get the touchdown.
You should have known it was going to be his boy Lazard.
Well, I mean, he was feeding Garrett Wilson
Yeah, early,
early in the
early
game.
on, it was
Yeah.
just Wilson. Yeah, and it was crazy that Ayuk that drop touchdown and Peyton and Eli were just dogging him on the Manning cast about going to training camp, and that's why you go to training camp to work on your catching, and it's funny.
Damn. That's
Manning cast
nuts.
is really good today. Belichick's going to be on the first half of every Manning cast. That's pretty impressive to get to see a lot of coach talking about, the different games going on and different coaching schemes and what people are looking for, and just the bantering back and forth between him and Peyton and Eli as they were all kind of rivals in a way.
Yeah, I just think it's in general awesome that Bill Belichick's actually being like wanting to be a part of the media
Yeah, he's on
to an
InstaFace
extent. Yeah. And well, he's on Pat McAfee all the time now too.
Mondays.
Yeah, Mondays they have Bill Belichick and they have Nick Saban.
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome that they're wanting to be involved. Um, you know, really helpful as a fan too to really understand like I mean, you're literally learning from the GOAT.
Yep.
So I think that's awesome personally. Um, man, I'm trying so hard to avoid talking about this next game. We have in this next game we had the Saints taking on the Carolina Panthers. This game was done after the first quarter.
Yeah. I mean, they ran away with the score real quick. Derek Carr looked all right. I think that's going to be another fantasy panic. People are going to go grab Derek Carr on waivers, and then Derek Carr is going to be shit the rest of the season. You got to remember that he was playing the Panthers. I mean, the Panthers are another franchise where it's like the Giants, like burn the whole place down.
Well, in all reality, like Derek Carr didn't play that. I mean, he just wasn't stupid with the ball. That was essentially it.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at, I'm looking at the stats right now. He was 19 for 23 with three touchdown passes. One of those being a 59-yard bomb to Rashid Shaheed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, it really looks like they didn't do anything crazy. The Saints, it just looks like the Panthers just are that bad.
Yeah.
Um, as expected, but Alvin Kamara, I know he helped me out in one of my leagues. 83 yards, one touchdown. Um, but if you think the Saints are going to keep this up, you're crazy. You're crazy. They're not going to be this good. Like I don't expect them to drop 40 points in a game for the rest of the season, personally. Um, Bryce Young, you got to somewhat feel for him, but at the same time, it's been Stroud the whole time. Like I
Yeah.
know we when the draft happened, we were talking about it. Stroud should have been going number one. And granted, we might be biased from Ohio State fans, but in all honesty, I've never been a Bryce Young guy.
I
Never
haven't
have.
either. And unfortunately, we talk about system quarterbacks and, anybody could be thrown into Shanahan's offense. I think that if Stroud went to Carolina, he wouldn't be having as much success as he is in Houston. I mean, there is a line that's drawn in the sand of Houston has a lot of talent backing Stroud to make him look great. Just like when he was at Ohio State. Look at the wide receiver room that he had and the running back room that he had. I mean, Stroud should have been able to win a championship, which field goal away from probably easily winning that one against TCU. Um, but if Stroud went to Carolina, I mean, Bryce Young doesn't have anything. I mean, we're talking about your best receiver. Ideally, you don't want to say Thielen because they do have Deontay Johnson and they got the Leggett now. But
Oh, it's Thielen.
but that's what I'm trying to get at is
Yeah.
that's your best option is Thielen, who's been in the league for like 15 years.
Well, their line, it also doesn't help that their line sucks. They spent some money on it, but they still suck. Um, but Bryce Young I don't know. I watched a little bit of this game. I was pretty tuned out, especially after the first drive, considering Bryce Young's first pass was an interception.
Yeah.
He went 13 for 30, 161 with two interceptions on the day. Andy Dalton got some play yesterday, even. Um, but their running game, there's nothing. Um, Miles Sanders, who I forgot about since he signed with Carolina, 5 carries for 22 yards. They paid him all that money. He's not going to be able to do anything. Um, Chuba Hubbard, 6 carries for 14 yards. Like, y- that's not winning. You're not going to win football games that way.
No.
You're just simply not. And Jonathan Mingo, he was a receiver that they drafted last year who barely got any playing time. And really all of his receiving yards came off one play. He got a 35-yard reception, and that really looks like it was it. They had two like big chunk plays throughout the whole game, and that's all they got. Xavier Legette had the most catches and the most targets, so maybe if they get something going later on in the season, maybe that's a guy that if you're looking at fantasy, maybe that's a guy to be on the watch for.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't take it to the bank or anything like that, but Deontay Johnson, goose egg of a game. Um, yeah, I feel bad for Carolina fans. Did you see JC Horn was trying to talk shit to Derek Carr?
Yeah. And then he said I scored 3 touchdowns on you.
Yeah. I've never understood why people try to talk shit when they're losing. I've never understood that.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just shut up. Like, I just don't get it.
Side point from this 49ers game, Trent Williams just went in the locker room to get looked at after he just signed that 3-year max deal.
Oh, damn. Damn. Um, let's see. Is there any score? Oh, 29. So they must
Yeah,
have kicked a
another
field
field
goal.
goal.
All right. And then we had the Steelers versus the Falcons. Um, I'm glad I didn't watch any more of this game than I needed to. Uh, wasn't really much to get out of it. No
Kyle Pitts
touchdowns
scored a
scored by
touchdown.
the, huh?
Kyle Pitts scored a touchdown.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts did score a touchdown. That is very true. Um, Drake London, non-existent. Um, it's bad when Ray McLeod is your leading receiver.
I could not believe that when I saw the stat line.
Yeah, you know it's bad.
I mean, Drake,
Um,
Drake London fans are going to be panicking to trade him, but it was 1 week. I mean, he's going to come back. We really didn't get Bijan running a whole lot. It was Kirk's first game back off of an injury. You're going up against TJ Watt. What did you expect from
I'm just
him?
gonna say it's a tough defense. So I'm not panicking too much for Atlanta. Um, because I mean the Steelers defense is legit. As a Browns fan, it's a legit defense.
Mm-hmm.
You got TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick. Like that's nothing to play around with, and Cam Hayward's still pretty damn good too.
Oh, I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, he'll tear your knee right off.
Yeah, he will. He
Seen it.
will.
Seen it with my own 2 eyes.
But it was nice to see Bijan get some good carries. Finally got 18 carries compared to Tyler Algier, who only got three, which I mean, I thought he could have gotten involved a little bit more, but
Mm-hmm.
I like that they're trying to give Bijan, more reps. But the Steelers, I didn't really see anything too impressive other than, their defense just looked great. That I fear that they're going to be basically the Browns defense last year.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, I think TJ Watt is pissed that he did not get that defensive player of the year last year.
Yeah, I guarantee you he wins it this year. Like lock
Yeah.
it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Unless Micah Parsons does something crazy, I I think it's TJ Watts to lose as long as he stays healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But on to the next game, we had the Dolphins versus the Jaguars. Um, and just a trend that I kind of noticed in this week one, and I kind of want just your opinion on this as well. I thought this was one of the weakest week ones that I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, you know me and my kicking bets. Um, I looked at all the different options for field goals and PATs, and I was very set in stone on 4 kickers to get 2.5 PATs or more. One being the Texans, the Dolphins, the Bengals, And the fourth one was the Dolphins, Bengals, Texans, Buffalo Bills. Only one leg hit, and it was the Buffalo Bills. There was no scoring this week. It was so weak.
Yeah, no, it was beyond weak. Like, think of the last time that the Dolphins won a game by only scoring 20 points.
Yeah. And
Um,
only winning because the Jaguars are the Jaguars and they lose games that they're in the lead.
yeah, Dolphins won 20-17. Trevor Lawrence definitely looked like he did not deserve that contract. Never thought he deserved that contract in the first place. Um,
I'm just saying,
but like,
fuck Clemson quarterbacks right now.
yeah, exactly. Tank Bigsby actually surprised me getting he split dead even with ETN on carries.
Yep, ETN
Both,
got a score, but
yeah, I was a year early on Tank Bigsby, and I faded him this year because I thought he was going to get more reps last year, and here we go. 12 carries, 73 yards. Just was missing that touchdown that ETN had. Um, Brian Thomas Jr. though looks like he's going to be a dog,
yeah, he's got
and
the potential.
yeah, um, I'm really hating my Evan Ingram pick right now. Granted, I think later on in the season, he'll find some reps and some receptions here, but man, it's not looking pretty for him. Targeted 4 times, held to one catch for 5 yards. Um, but yeah, Jacksonville did not look great. And Jacksonville's best DB is hurt now too. Um, so hopefully the Browns can take that to their advantage. But the thing that's gonna suck is that their rush defense is gonna be really good against our Browns next week,
Oh yeah.
and our run game sucks. Let's just be honest. Our run game absolutely blows. I'm tired of Jerome Ford already.
Yeah, we have nothing. We didn't go after anybody in the offseason. There's just I don't
Literally,
understand.
literally no one. We have no juice. No juice.
I don't know what we're doing.
Sorry, I'm grabbing a hydrant real quick. But yeah, I don't understand what's going on there. But on the other side, Tua didn't look that great either. Nothing
No.
crazy. I mean, how do you throw for 338 yards? I mean, granted, 80 of those yards was one Tyreek Hill touchdown,
Yes.
and the only touchdown that Tua scored. But I can't think of a time I've ever seen a quarterback throw for 300 plus yards and he only had one touchdown pass.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't happen. But they had no rushing game either. I mean, HN, 10 carries for 24 yards. Granted, he got a touchdown, but
Yeah, well,
it's all just air raid essentially. And I mean, he had 7 catches for 76 yards, but I don't know. I truly don't think that this offense that they run, granted, yeah, is it electric? Absolutely. But if you don't have home field advantage in the playoffs, you're screwed. You're screwed. You're not gonna be able to pass the ball like this in February and January unless you get lucky and play in a dome.
yeah. Yeah, if you're Jared Goff playing 14 out of the 17 games in the dome,
Yeah, exactly.
it's crazy. I did want to point out that going into next week, Achan and Mostert both are questionable. So the run game might not even be present for the Dolphins. So maybe look to bet an under in that game, or they're going to be throwing the ball like a maniac.
Well, they have that one rookie that's really fast. He didn't play at all this game, it looks like. Trying to think of his name. Jalen. Uh, what is it? He's really, really fast. I can't think of it. Jalen Wright from
Hmm.
Tennessee.
Okay.
So if they're both out this game, Um, I would definitely be picking him up in fantasy. But other than that, there's not much else in that game. That game really wasn't that interesting other than the big plays. I mean, Jalen Waddle had a 63-yard reception, Tyreek 80-yard reception for a touchdown. So both of those were electric, but usual Dolphins crap.
Mm-hmm.
Next we had this, in my opinion, was probably the best game this week. We had the Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts, where we saw the Texans win 29-27. Um, Absolute duel between CJ Stroud and Anthony Richardson, which Anthony Richardson struggled throwing the ball, but he made some pretty goddamn impressive plays.
Yeah, it's incredible that he only had 9 completed passes, but I mean, the one was like a 60-yard bomb down to Alec Pierce for a touchdown. Colts looked pretty strong from the beginning. Jonathan Taylor got a touchdown. I mean, they looked good. But essentially it's Stroud boys, Stroud and company. My my work league, I didn't realize until after I drafted how heavily I was leaning on the Houston Texans offense to be a success. But I drafted Stroud, Mixon, and Nico Collins. And then in another league, I had Diggs. So all in all, I had a great day from this
Yeah.
game. Um, Spread was 3 points, which I thought was very low and tight for this game, but then it ended up being 2 points. So they were right on the money right there.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, even this game last year, to get in the playoff spot, it was a tight game.
well,
Um,
do you remember game 1 of the year? Game
yeah,
one, Stroud won because Richardson got injured, but Richardson had that nice rushing touchdown that led to a concussion early in the game, and he had a lot of promise. Stroud, was not in full strength yet. We didn't see him get to be about, week 2 or 3 for his full
I was
force.
gonna say, if I'm not mistaken, that was the game that kind of set him over the bar.
Yeah. But
Um,
I mean, this rivalry has always been a tough one year in and year out for the Texans and Colts. So definitely looking forward to watching them play again later on this year, which it's actually Halloween weekend because the Browns play the Ravens that week. And I'm trying to get Gabby's cousin who works for the Colts while they're in Houston to come out to the Ravens game because her boyfriend's a Ravens fan. So looking to tailgate that game.
nice. But yeah, Stroud looked great. Mixon looked like a completely different person.
Yeah.
Ended up getting 30 carries, which is impressive. For 159 yards and a touchdown. Um, Nico Collins had a great game. Stephon Diggs, I saw a clip of him complaining on the sideline after the first drive. Um, Granted, he finished the day with 2 touchdowns, but only 33 receiving yards.
Hmm.
Tank Dell, I think it's going to be very interesting seeing kind of where they throw Tank Dell in this mix. Granted, he's coming off an injury, plus he got shot this summer. Um, So it's going to be interesting where he plays in all of this. Dalton Schultz, just doing the little things as a tight end goes a long way. But Texans, that's who I have, honestly, being the number one seed in the AFC. I don't necessarily have them winning the AFC in whole, but I have them being the number one seed.
Yeah, did they oh, by the way, Mason has 150 rushing yards. Dude,
GMC washed, question mark?
no. Does Houston play the Chiefs this year? They do not. They do. Okay, so the Texans have a gauntlet in the middle of the season towards the end. They have Monday Night Football in Dallas, and then a couple weeks later they play home against the Dolphins and then away against the Chiefs, and then home against the Ravens. So 3 weeks in a row you've got Dolphins, Chiefs, Ravens, and Cowboys 2 or 3 weeks before that. This
Wow.
will make or break the Texans season, I think, in my opinion. Outside of division play, they've got the Patriots, they've got the Vikings, the Bears, um, the Packers, which could be a whole different team with Malik Willis. So realistically, the Texans have a very tough schedule this year. And out of that gauntlet, I could see them winning 3 out of 4, probably losing to the Chiefs by a last second bullshit help from the ref. Um, but I see them beating the Cowboys. I think the Battle of Texas is going to go home to the Texans this year. I'm very high on the Texans as well. Obviously, I love Stroud, OSU boy. So, we've adopted other teams in the past where I've adopted the Chiefs with, Dustin and the Bears last year for our bet. But this year I'm very high on the Texans. And when I had said that there's 3 or 4 teams that I think would make the Super Bowl, the Texans are my second pick behind the Chiefs from the AFC to go to the Super Bowl.
I like that. I like that. But let's go ahead and move into this next game. We're starting to get into the end of the 1 o'clock games. We had the Chargers beating the Las Vegas Raiders 22-10. Um, Not the most interesting game in the world, but surprising to see Gardner Minshew almost get close to 300 passing yards compared to Justin Herbert, who didn't even get 150. But the revival of J.K. Dobbins was, in my opinion, the best part of this game.
Yeah,
10 carries for 135 yards and a touchdown.
getting the game ball
Um,
from Coach Harbaugh.
yeah, getting the game ball. Um, I think this Chargers team, I don't really have much to say about the Raiders because I mean they looked better than I thought they were going to, but the Chargers, in my opinion, stood out the most. I think that this team, and I think that Coach Harbaugh has them playing and like feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just noticed a big difference between him and Brandon Staley. Because they definitely don't have the most talented roster in the league, but I think that they're gonna, shock some people and win a lot of these games that a lot of people don't think that they're gonna win.
I think
Um,
they're definitely going to be battling for that number 1 spot in the AFC West. I think that they'll probably be one of those surprise teams to beat the Chiefs this year, like the Raiders won on Christmas last year. I totally can see Harbaugh outsmarting Andy Reid and somehow pulling off a win.
yeah, I mean, I'm right with you on that part. I don't know about the division. I think that division's pretty much the Chiefs, unless, everyone goes down. But I think the Chargers are going to be one of those shocking teams that somehow sneaks their way maybe into a wild card spot or just, be one of those pests that, you don't want to play at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I liked what I saw from that game. Wasn't the most entertaining game, but it is what it is. Um, this next game, I was at the Browns game when this one was going on. The Seahawks versus the Broncos, former Super Bowl rematch. Seahawks won 26-20. Um, and in my opinion, I don't know how I would really feel if I was a Seahawks fan watching this game. Um, Especially, you know, I don't know. This game just seemed like it was just a shit show of all sorts. I mean, Geno Smith didn't play horrible. He had one crazy touchdown run that was for 34 yards. Kenneth Walker played good, but I believe that he ended up leaving the game hurt at some
That
point.
that I didn't see.
Um, but he ended the day on 20 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown, and he had 2 catches for 6 yards. Tyler Lockett, 6 receptions, 77 yards. Chaubernet actually had a receiving touchdown as well, but DK Metcalf was non-existent.
Same with JSN.
Yeah, JSN caught every ball that he was thrown. But I mean, 2 catches for 19 yards. I mean, you were a first round pick last year. I don't know. I still thought that that draft pick was very weird for them, unless they were moving off DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett. But I don't know. I when JSN's been playing like and getting targeted the ball, he's shown that he can produce, but
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't get that pick at all. Um, but most importantly, what I wanted to talk about was Bo Nix. A lot of people were hyping him up on the way he performed this preseason, and I think that he's basically confirmation that if you're playing really, really good in the preseason, I can only think of one player off the top of my head that played really good in the preseason and then played really good in the regular season the rookie year, and that would be Dak Prescott,
Hmm.
who ended up stealing Tony Romo's job. Um,
Yeah, 2018,
yeah, but Bo Nix,
2017. Yeah, 2017.
26, I want to say 2016.
I went no, I would, uh,
Yeah, because it would have been 20, yeah, it would have been 20, because Ohio State won the national title in 2014.
yeah, but I went to the rookie or the Hall of Fame game Zeke's rookie year. That was I think 2018,
No,
26, 2017.
yeah. Mm-mm. 2016.
Hold on. I have a video. It was
I know I was still in high school.
2017. August 3rd, 2017.
Oh,
Unless,
2017.
yeah, unless that was Zeke's second year and he just didn't play. Let me look though.
Well, him and Dak Prescott were,
Same year.
yeah,
All right, hold on. Zeke stats 2016.
yeah, because
Which
I knew he stayed at
16
OSU, huh?
1600 yards that year.
Yeah, because I knew he went the year after Ohio State won the national title.
Hmm.
Um, but anyways, back to what we were talking about. Bo Nix, 26 for 42, 138 yards, 2 interceptions. I don't know. I'm not panicking too hard if I'm a Broncos fan on this. I'm curious what Blake has to say on this as a Broncos fan, but he has no help. Um, Javonte Williams, he's been a disappointment in my opinion because I really liked him coming out of college. I thought he was going
Hmm.
to be a great running back, but I don't know if it's the system he's in with Sean Payton. Sean Payton likes a more of a running back that likes to catch the ball a little bit more, and that's not Javonte Williams. And that's why I think Jaleel McLaughlin, shout out to Youngstown State, um, plays better in his system than Williams does. And I think McLaughlin's gonna ultimately continue to get most of the workload. I mean, he led the workload for carries yesterday. Um, and even got 5 catches too. Granted, 5 catches for ultimately 1 yard. I don't know how that happens, but it happened. But other than that, I didn't really see anything else from this game. Um, all right, you ready to talk about it?
I guess.
All right. So, our lovely, lovely, lovely Cleveland Browns took on the Dallas Cowboys, and it was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. And what pisses me off the most about this game is that the Cowboys did not even play that good. They did not play that good. We made them look way better than they are and how they played. Dak Prescott, 19 for 32 passing, 179 yards and one touchdown. QBR 31.3,
Zeke had 10 rushing yards.
10 carries,
Oh, 10 carries. What was his rushing yards?
40
Oh, okay, sorry. But
for one touchdown. They had no rushing game. They had one decent rush from CeeDee Lamb.
mhm.
The CeeDee Lamb didn't even play that great. 5 catches for 61 yards, which I mean that's no joke, but I mean he had 10 targets, so he only caught half the balls that were thrown his way. Brandon Cooks got the most free touchdown I've ever seen in my life. All of them is communication, which I mean that happens. I mean that was a good drawn up play. But that's one thing. I'm not gonna get so much on the defense on this because this was not a defensive problem. You can't have your defense out there for longer than your offense because your offense is so goddamn bad that you only can take off 20 seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
Like
No, he was pitiful.
abysmal,
He was
abysmal.
so bad all.
Deshaun, yeah, Deshaun Watson, 24 for 45, one touchdown, two interceptions, a 9.4 QBR. 9 point fucking 4. I will give Deshaun the one thing that the second pick, I don't blame on him. That was Elijah Moore 100%. Should have caught that ball. Should have caught it. But I'm not gonna make excuses for him either. Like, you fucking sucked, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm with you. I'm done with the excuses. Jerome Ford, 12 carries, 44 yards, one touchdown.
Garbage time touchdown, though.
Yeah, garbage time touchdown. He sucked. He sucked. And we had Pierre Strong who came in for 2 carries. And in my opinion, out of those 2 carries, he played better. He played better than Ford. Like I don't get why we added so many damn receivers and didn't add another running back. And I know that people are devaluing the running back, but you still gotta have someone on the fucking team. Like we're not gonna have Nick Chubb for at minimum until week 5, and who the hell knows if he's gonna come back? I know he'll come back probably sometime this season, but
Mhm.
who the hell knows? Njoku, 4 receptions for 44 yards. He had one pretty bad drop, but ultimately he was the only one that we could depend on. Amari Cooper, 2 catches for 16 yards, 9 targets. In all honesty, majority of his balls that were thrown his way, there was no way in hell he was catching those because they were thrown either so far out of his reach or just, garbage balls, absolute garbage balls. He had one throw that was, I mean, one drop that was pretty damn bad. I mean, it would have been a touchdown, but it was also at a point in the game where it didn't even matter at that point.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy got his first touchdown as a Cleveland Brown, thankfully, after we were already getting smoked. But if I'm not mistaken, he ended up getting hurt and pulled out of the game. We were playing so bad, I just stopped caring on noticing who was on the field and who wasn't.
I
I
yeah.
just I was just over with it.
There was a point in time where I also was just kind of loosely watching.
Yeah, it's just like what the hell am I watching right now? Elijah Moore, garbage, garbage. Jordan Atkins, he made some good catches, but if you got Jordan Atkins being your both of our top two receivers were our tight ends. Like
Mhm.
I don't know what to tell you, man. I I didn't think the defense really played that bad. At the end of the day, I do not think the defense played that bad. We gave up all field goals essentially for the most part, other than a
Almost
punt return.
666 yarder.
Yeah, they almost kicked a 71-yard field goal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you know how disrespectful that is, especially if it's not for a game winner?
Oh yeah, they're just fucking with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm ready to get over the game. You know, at the end of the day, it's just a stupid game, and it's just a stupid team, and it's just a stupid quarterback that I can't wait till we get rid of him. I hope by the end of this week something comes out about suspension. Let Jameis play next week. Let's figure it out as we go.
Yeah, send him fucking home. Send him home. But enough about that because I'll talk for another hour alone on that. Um, but speaking of Jameis, let's go ahead and get into Jameis's old team. We had the Buccaneers taking on the Washington Commanders, where the Buccaneers won 37-20. Um, I know people were giving Jaden Daniels some shit about being a running back, but I'm not gonna lie, I like had it on my phone in the background, just kind of peeking at it every here and there. Um, I did not think he played that bad for what he has to work with. I wish
I
he threw it a little bit more, but
Yeah, I think he had the best performance by a rookie quarterback yesterday. You know, I know he had two rushing touchdowns. Bo Nix had one rushing touchdown. Caleb Williams, no touchdowns at all. But I think that Jane Daniels showed the most positive, play amongst the three.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, 17 for 24, 184 yards. Um, his O-line sucks. Um, he led the team in rushing, 88 rushing yards, and like you said, two touchdowns. Austin Eckler looked like he was the leading receiver.
Have you heard of Eckler's new app?
No,
He developed an app, and I'll show you what it is here. It's actually really smart, but I haven't figured out how I want to use it yet. It's called Experience. It's EKS Experience. And essentially what it is, you can go on here and connect with NFL players. It's like a social media, but here I'll just do Washington for instance. There's 12 players on the Washington Commanders team, including Austin Eckler since he created the app. And you can do personalized videos, social media requests, fan mail, and you can send in an item to get signed. There's obviously a price tag on there. So like right now, Eckler's is $79. So if
Mhm.
you had an Eckler jersey or an Eckler football card or anything of Eckler's, $79, you send it in to their address and then he signs it. But there's players from every single team on here. I'm watching it like every week to see if anybody gets added. Like right now, Brian Robinson, Luke McCaffrey, Marcus Mariota is on here. I haven't seen anybody else that's new, but every team has somebody. The Browns have Miles Harden, David Bell, who's rest in peace.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney, Jordan Akins, and Naheem Hines.
I didn't even get into that yet. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, forgot about that.
yeah.
That happened today too.
Yeah, it's just not been a good day for us.
No, it's been a bad day for Ohio as a whole. Browns and Bengals lose yesterday. Deshaun has a rape case. The Browns sign Kadarius Toney, and now there's supposedly people in Springfield, Ohio that are, kidnapping animals and selling them to people in Haiti.
Eating cats.
Yeah. And Elon Musk was going crazy about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. But Baker Mayfield had a day, like you mentioned earlier, 24 for 30 for 4 touchdown passes, two of those to Mike Evans, one of them to Chris Godwin. And then the other one to Jalen McMillan, which did you see that he did the OH to
Yeah,
the one Michigan DB?
I did see that.
I thought that was awesome. Did he go to Ohio State at one point?
No.
No, he just did it to fuck with Michigan.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes sense because he would have played them in the national championship last year.
right.
Um, but yeah, yesterday really made me miss Baker Mayfield, and I didn't know if I was really gonna say that or not, but yesterday it was finally true. I just yesterday was my final drawing point with Deshaun Watson. I deep down wanted to give up on him, throw in the towel, but I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go into this season open-minded, that he's gonna come in healthy, he's gonna be fine. You know, who cares about a preseason game? But he better come out and play, and sure as hell he did not do that.
Seems like the best player on this app is Jonathan Taylor.
No, that's a good one.
I looked through a whole slew of people, and like aside from Eckler, who would have been really good a couple years ago, that's like the best one is Jonathan Taylor. I mean, Raheem Mostert's on here. Um, Jahan Dotson for the Eagles now, but he's still garbage.
Mhm.
Madison, but yeah, something that's new. I saw it on Instagram actually.
Yeah, I actually did not know about that. That's really cool.
Blake and I were talking about it. He's like, why didn't we think about that? I'm like, well, he's got the resources to be like, hey, I'm starting an app where people can reach out to players for autographs and stuff instead of waiting for training camps or meet and greets. And I mean, if you're a big name player, like let's just say Eckler at the time, like 2 years ago, I mean, think about even if 100 people sent in and paid $79 each, or eight, let's just round it up to 80 dollars each. It's a quick bag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right.
But
And then Monday Night Football just wrapped up.
do we talk about Sunday
49ers.
football?
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna talk about
Oh, yeah.
Sunday. I was just saying that it just wrapped up. Missed my parlay, unfortunately. But um the our first Sunday night football game of the year, we had the Detroit Lions taking on the Los Angeles Rams, where the Detroit Lions came up on top yet again. This time around, Matthew Stafford cannot beat the Lions. Um, Made a great comeback though. Great comeback.
Yeah.
I thought the Lions had it in the bag, even though it wasn't really that, in my opinion, it wasn't that great of a game until the very end.
Jameson Williams had his coming out party.
Yeah, Jamison Williams had himself a day, 5 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown. Um, David Montgomery, I know Jahmyr Gibbs got that first touchdown, but David Montgomery ended up having a monster game with 17 carries and 91 yards with the game-winning touchdown in overtime. Um, Jared Goff had me a little bit worried at times, but he's gonna have little Jared Goff moments every here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Finished the night 18 to 28 for 217 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Um, Amon-Ra St. Brown, though, if you have him in fantasy this week, sorry, 3 catches for 13 yards. Probably not what you were expecting. And I was one of those people in one of my leagues. Um, Also in that very same league, Puka Nakua. So I went Amon-Ra St. Brown and then Puka Nakua, who got hurt and is now expected to miss up to 4 weeks.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
They put him on the IR.
yeah, for 4 catches and 35 yards. Cooper Kupp, though, had himself a Cooper Kupp game from 2 years ago. 14 catches, 110 yards, and one touchdown. Um, he definitely still has it. Matthew Stafford, I thought looked phenomenal the second half of that game. 34 for 49, 317 yards, but only one touchdown and one interception. And I'm hoping this isn't how the whole season's going to go, where we get, oh, he threw for 300 yards, but, only one touchdown. Um, but it's still early in the year, so I'm curious what all is going to happen. I was surprised that Blake Corum did not get any touches. He played
Yeah,
special teams.
I was
Played special.
expecting more.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get more touches, but it looks like he got a tackle. It had to have been on a kick return.
Hmm.
Um, Shout out to John Johnson who got a interception last night too, former Brown.
Former Ram, former Brown, back to the Ram.
Yeah. Um, Kyron Williams only had one punt, so if you have him in fantasy, you survive another week. Um, but did you get to watch most of this game at all?
Didn't get to watch any of it.
You didn't get to watch any of it?
I was passed out.
Yeah, I
Too,
don't blame you
too
after
drunk
that
and
game.
sad. Too
Yeah.
drunk and sad. I was in bed by 10 o'clock.
I watched the second half of this game because by the time we drove home, I was late. I wanted to change, take a shower, really decompress after that loss, and
Hmm.
I'm like, I need a minute before I watch football again.
Yeah.
But second half was awesome. Um, Seeing that Rams come back, I really thought the Rams were going to end up winning at the end. But the defense kind of folded and let the Lions get into field goal range, which sent it into overtime. Which I did not realize that the Lions kicker is the UFL kicker that kicked I want to say it was like a 66-yard field goal
Hmm.
last year.
It's not Badgley anymore.
No, it's the last name's Bates. I'm trying to think of his first name right. Jake Bates.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was cool seeing that backstory. I didn't even realize it was him, but I remember when that happened. Um, but yeah, that was essentially that game. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about? We already mentioned our small comments on um Kadarius Toney to the Browns, which thank God he's starting off in practice squad because I
I,
pray he doesn't ever make it off the practice squad.
at this point, it's just another checkpoint and the merry-go-round of this circus. So, whatever. Um, I don't know why we didn't go after any running backs, but whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm over it. Week by week is the way I'm taking it. I'm watching the Texans, man. It's gonna be a tough year for Browns fans, but we ride, we keep going. Um, no, not much else. Definitely glad to be back to football season though. Fantasy's back, gambling's back. We will have some special guests this season for the gambling episodes. So, check out your episodes on Thursday mornings. We will be recording Wednesday nights, so you get your bets in from the team. We'll have the lad back on, some other special guests too.
hmm Yeah, Tuesdays and Thursdays are gonna look like the for sure dates. Um, I want to try to see if we can sneak college football in somewhere, even if it's a shorter episode that we just hop on randomly and do. Um, but me and Dylan will talk off air on that. But in the meantime, if you guys did enjoy this episode, make sure that you leave a like, subscribe to our channel for more. Follow us on all platforms. We have both of our handles right underneath our pictures right here. Um, and make sure if you listen on Spotify, make sure you turn on those notifications so you keep updated on when we upload. Um, but other than that, Dylan, is there anything else you wanted to talk about before we get off?
As the new season is here and we get started, remember to always gamble responsibly. We've been looking for the lad. The lad's been missing. somewhere down there in Columbus. We're gonna hopefully try to bring him home, get him back on the show. So make sure you gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-GAMBLER if you have any problems. We love you.
Yes. The player points are real.
Caesar player points.
Yes. But anyways, guys, take it easy.